Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming back to watch the Entrepreneur Hour. Today, I got a guest coming in a few minutes, Milan Cheeks. He's starting up a cool app startup. We'll talk about. Before he comes on, I'll give you some updates. We've been talking every day about how to get Meta Bronx kids for the summer to have summer youth again because summer youth was canceled. And we had some good calls yesterday. Definitely having more and more partners help us out. Have been amazing. Today we have a call with a charter school that is looking like they are going to help make this happen as well. There's a lot going on with this COVID situation and trying to help kids. So that's been going amazing. I've been taking this YouTube class to teach you how to grow YouTube. And my last video yesterday and last Thursday's video, I'm breaking down what I'm learning in the class. If you are interested in making a YouTube channel, which I highly suggest you do, whether you are in business or not, I think it's worth trying. Of course, the motivation comes from, can you pay your bills? So if you are trying to start any business, any type of side hustle, a YouTube channel is a great way to start. So I think if you could check that content out, and of course I'm gonna keep making it tomorrow. I'm gonna do another book episode where I go over my book, and I try to keep figuring out the book. Yeah, there's a lot, and I got a lot of people signing up to be on the show. I've been reaching out to people all over the world, and people are gonna jump on the show, and it's gonna be awesome. And I love doing this. By the way, I actually want to talk about the fact that I'm doing this has just opened up so many opportunities, meeting different people from all over the world and having them come and help me virtually. And I help them virtually has been amazing. So my guest Milan is here. Let's make it happen.
What's going on?
Milan, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Let's go. I'm good, man. How you been?
I've been good. Now you're still working, grinding, make sure to get the stuff done. But how you been?
I've been good, man. Same, grinding on many fronts, just surviving and grinding. And then I decided to add more to my plate by creating this show every day. But it's been awesome. It's been awesome. I've been like reconnecting with many people because of it, including you. So the way I normally do the show is I start out by talking about how I met the person, and then I let the person talk about their background first, like before, how they became entrepreneurs. And then talk about what they're currently working on. And then I got a new segment that you're going to be the first one to test on, which is the genie segment. If I was your business genie, what 3 wishes would you want me to grant you, right? So that's going to be at the end. But first start, I'm going to talk about how I met you. So Milan's story is actually ridiculously crazy because I met Milan's father first. So the way I met Milan was his dad and me worked on e-commerce websites in like 2000, right? And we were getting money together. We were working on a bunch of different projects. And fast forward many years later, his father calls me like, hey, I'm working with a startup. They just raised some venture capital money and all that stuff. And he didn't tell me it was his son, though. It was funny, right? So I meet with them. And I'm like, Cheeks, his name is Cheeks. He's like, oh yeah, I didn't want to. He's like, it's my son who did it. I was like, oh, that's amazing, man. Like that's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, so talk to the people about your background, what you've done in the past, and then we'll get into your app. How'd you get into entrepreneurship?
So yeah, I've been doing entrepreneurship since I was 16. I'm 27 now, so about 11 years. I started my first business, selling sneakers online, e-commerce site, same as you guys. Nice. Had a connection with, sneakers. So I would sell Jordans and different shoes online.
Resell?
I would resell them. Yeah. And then wear them in school, and then people would see them in school, and then they would ask me where to get it. I'll either point them to the site or I would sell them, face to face. So
good.
Yeah. So that was my first, I would say, step. And then, I went to other things like carpet cleaning and other businesses, other trade businesses. And then, I always had a love for technology. So I started, branching more and more to it. My dad's obviously been in technology pretty much all his life. So for me, it's been like second nature. So I've been, always looking for the next big thing. And, You know, I'm obsessed with working out. You know, I love trying to be better than I was yesterday. So it only made sense for me to kind of stick with the entrepreneur spirit and then bring my own mentality to it. So to come with self kind of made sense and understanding like, you know, the future. So, you know, obviously we know AI technology, blockchain, AR, VR, all those things are going to be probably the forefront of entrepreneurship for the next 10 years. So, you know, for us, we were like, why not create something that's automated for self-improvement, that's making people better each day by just using AI, you know, and blockchain as well. So that's kind of my background from there.
So talk to me, because I know about your background. But how'd you get into the self app? Like you said, you were working out and stuff. You were even doing influencer stuff, I remember. And then you got into the self app because of what? Like that, it was an interesting story. I want to make sure people understand how you got to this idea, because that's a big thing about entrepreneurship, right? We get ideas every day, but what makes you take that step and say, I'm actually going to do this? I'm going to raise money for this idea. I'm going to do this. Do you remember what made that happen for self?
Yeah, it's kind of like the aha moment, you know, like I do it myself every day. You know, I like the reward feeling that I get when I actually accomplish something. So I just felt like it was needed. You know, I felt like the world is missing that. You know, people work hard every day and sometimes fail, but even that process of working, you still grew. So I wanted to create something where people will get rewarded while they're growing, you know, whether it's any type of wellness. You know, for me, I think wellness is all aspects. You know, it's not just health, it's your mind, it's dealing with your soul, it's dealing with yourself in general, you know, like growing yourself. So I wanted to build a system to make people feel good about themselves as they're going through the journey in life.
So it's kind of, if you you basically gamified helping yourself, right? Like
Pretty
because right,
much.
if I work out right now, nobody gives me anything, right? But this system will reward me, and that's just me, a relationship between me and the system. Nobody else has to know, but it does reward me, and it may help my habit, right?
Yeah, you know, for example, you know, you know, you understand APIs and AI. So what we did is we started connecting to school portals, wearable devices, and we provide, you know, transits of astrology. So that's the mind, body, soul spectrum. And basically, with a student, you know, let's say the student is an A student or went from a B to an A student, they would actually get rewarded self coins for that. You know, so teachers can actually come into our portal and start basing what they want self coins and rewards to be off of each test or study habit or homework, you know. So now these kids will have an incentive to be better instead of, you know, like a lot of kids I would say do not get an allowance because their parents may not be rich or their parents may not have it at that time. So for us, you know, we will have that reward system where they can come into our marketplace and still purchase a lot of the products that they wanted anyway because they worked hard.
And just because they've completed their homework, they'll get these coins,
Yeah,
and use these coins because you've made partnerships with different people that will accept your coin.
exactly. So they can either discount on our platform or they can, you know, donate products or we can purchase the products forward. Either way, we would still have it on our platform so they can do it. This also works for the body. So if you're working out, you know, we are partnered with this company called MyZone. MyZone allows us to have this virtual gym, you know, environment. It's perfect for right now because obviously we're all locked down. But
Oh man, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so trainers will be able to actually train via Zoom with their clients. And what happens is when they're wearing a device, you know, it's like this little band that goes around your heart and it goes like it has like different meters around it and it reads your vitals as you're working out. So it also tells you your strain level. So it goes from 50% to 100%. So that trainer will be able to see that information and then tell that particular person if they're working hard or not, or to work harder. And as they're doing that, they're earning self coins. So now they can go back and buy protein or whatever from our marketplace. So it creates this overall environment. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I love the idea. So the also, because I remember I know about the idea for a while, but mind, body, and soul.
Yep.
Explain that, because I think, you know, of course you hear those words, but what do you and your app do for the mind specifically, then the body, and then the soul?
Yeah. So So our goal for this whole platform is to be like the overall representation of wellness. So our coin will be the representation of wellness. So when we're saying mind, body, and soul, we're just going to help you gain in those three areas. So that's basically yourself. So in your mind, if you're learning something new, if you're in college, if you're in elementary school, you're in trade school, all these different things will be able to connect to our platform, and then we'll reward you each time that you're learning something. We'll even go as far as if you take a master class or if you had a course, anything like that, we will reward people for that, because we're saying you're trying to broaden your horizon and better yourself in your knowledge, and same thing goes with the body. So now the body's a little more complicated, because what we did is we also partnered with Versailles Cue, which is our blockchain solution. And if you know any startups and in the health community that want to use Versailles Cue, they're a great company to use. They love startups, but what they do is they created a research foundry, and that research foundry basically is connected with doctors, universities, scientists, and they always are working on solutions for different things. Specifically right now it's COVID, so they have this research foundry. They have a bunch of startups in that community helping COVID. So for us,
what was the name of the company again? What is it called?
It's called Burst IQ.
Burst IQ.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right.
What we're doing with Burst IQ is, we're connecting to all the wearable devices. So Fitbit, Apple Watch, all these different things. So we're able to gain, I would say, temperatures, all the vitals from your heart rate to your blood pressure and things like that. And we can actually
do that data as a startup.
Yeah, and Burst IQ will hold that data in their blockchain, and that data will be protected. So now, if the user on our side opts in, that data will be sent to Burst IQ, and then it will be used for greater research. So that's where, if we were released right now, we would be a great solution for COVID, because we would have been able to actually specify where these areas are bad. So we would have said, okay, New York is dealing with this because we have all these people dealing with a temperature this high. So we would have knew right away. We don't sell the data; it's just used for those purposes. So going forward, we'll be able to help in a lot of different areas.
So that's the beauty of AI and knowing your project. The idea is to motivate you through AI, not change your habit for bad. So it reminds me of another app that Paco too, the Noom app, the app, right? It kind of just trains you to rethink and gain different habits, right? So that's the goal of your app, right? Give you better habits to better yourself, right?
Yeah, make it fun, make life just fun again. I feel like we're losing that sense of touch of fun. So to bring it and gamify it in a certain way, we have so many different things we this platform into. One app you see in your virtual self and being able to interact with that virtual self. So your gains that you have will actually mimic in that virtual world. So that's something that we're working on, but we want to really push life and technology and kind of connect the two, so instead of you not knowing your progress, you'll be able to go into one platform and always see how far you've come, so you don't feel depressed that you're not where you are, but you'll be able to see your progress, so depression should go down, you won't feel like you're lost, at least.
So, okay, so with your startup, why don't you talk about, because a big thing about startups and the minority community specifically is how do you get to the point where you start up? So why don't you talk about your startup journey? Like, how'd you get from idea to where you are now?
Finding experts in each place that I want to be in, obviously I didn't know it all. I am a good learner. I feel like I'm a sponge. I feel like when I'm in that environment, I learn, and I'm very good at diving into the fire. But obviously there's a lot of experts out there. So I built my board first. That was my key. I want to make sure that I had people on board with me with this mission and had them understand the same thing, whether it's from marketing, sales, just a blockchain expert, dealing with a company like Versailles Cue that is a blockchain expert, so they will provide knowledge. I was working with you at some time with AI stuff, so I was learning with you, so it's things like that I just try to gain knowledge from the people and then build that product and listen to what the community is saying and then build it from there. I think that's important, not just building what's in your mind, building what the community wants. Yeah.
That's key information right there. So like as an entrepreneur, most of us don't know everything. Well, none of us do, right? So it's really identifying the key areas where you do need the help and saying, okay, and the board idea is really good because the board idea says you are going to win by helping me win, right? Because it's not just helping, right? Board seats get a percentage of the company. So you gave up some percentage of the company on the board side before you even raised money, right? To get in and have them help you in the specific areas that you knew you needed. So that's a good tip, actually. What else? What would you say is some good advice? If you met yourself however many years ago when you thought of this idea, what would you wish you would have known?
It's funny because I really wouldn't change anything, but
All right, so
I would say understanding KPIs. I would say understanding your milestones, your own milestones. Like you have to understand your success. So obviously everybody knows they want, you know, $1 million company, $1 billion company, but you still need to have miniature goals in there, you know. So I did have my own, but sometimes they were larger than my own progress. So, you know, I wasn't even following my own preaching. You know, I'm talking about doing self-coins, but I should have kept my progress in that same realm as well. You know, so if let's say if I had just a goal of 10 days, I want to do this thing, you know, and something like that, like really microscoping my progress. And that's where I would like to do, you know. So I'm doing that now, time management, things like that.
So give yourself KPIs where you manage yourself. That's what you mean?
Yeah, and use time management within that. So understand that you only have 24 hours. So what I did recently is I changed my clock from the 12 hours to 24 hours. So how I look at it is like I have 24 hours. Let's say it's the 18th hour. I know, okay, I have 6 hours left in this day. You know, so so for me, now I can look at that and go, okay, what did I do in 18 hours? Did I really do as much as I could have in that 24 hours? You know, so that's something that so that's something that I like to do. I would have liked to do at the beginning, but you know, it's not too late to ever learn something. But yeah, that's something I would have told myself.
Yeah, you're young, so it's the fact that you even know at that age, you know, is awesome. So at the end of the day, with your app, where are you right now? How soon are you to launch? What can you show? What can you talk about with the app?
Yeah, I know when we first talked about the app, I had like a few hundred. We're at 12,000 people now. As of today,
Nice.
we thank you. We are pretty much 70% done. I keep adding more things to the platform. We were supposed to launch last year. I just didn't like the design at all, so I just redid the whole thing. I have a whole new team developing the app. We just finished the whole back end, so that's done. Now we're just working on the front end. We do how we're doing and how we're developing, which I think is a cool concept, is we're testing as we're building. So we have about 200 people on the platform that will test and see where the bugs are coming from, and they'll let us know. We'll fix it as we're building. So we're not gonna have such a long test period. So we can do like a pilot in July and then maybe a full launch by October. You know, that's what I'm pushing for.
So and how can people sign up for the pilot? Self platform?
Yeah, they go to subplatform.io and you just sign up for early access. You will get an email. You just confirm that email, then you're going to be a user. And as soon as you get the app, you can sign up. Once you put your phone number in, it creates a wallet, and then you have your wallet from there. You start earning coins. We are allowing people now. We're going to release some things with the virtual side of the gyms. So you'll be able to earn self coins now. You won't be able to redeem them, but you'll at least have them in a wallet. So we'll show them their progress of how many they earned, and then once the app's released, they can actually use those coins.
So I put it up on selfplatform.io. Okay, so I like to create content around entrepreneurship journey. It's called Entrepreneur Hours. So I guess what would be some of your biggest lessons learned as being an entrepreneur, whether it's the self app or prior to it? What would you tell a young entrepreneur that
You
you
don't
would
know what you don't know. And that's a big thing that I hear a lot. You know, one of my board members said it to me a lot, and it makes a lot of sense because you really don't know what you don't know. So I think what you need to do is understand, first off, Google is a huge resource. You know, so put yourself in the fire. You know, under what I do, and it's a good learning experience for me, is I hear a word, and if I don't understand that word, I make sure I write that word down and then search it on Google and do a whole schooling on just that word, because you'll learn so much more. You know, when I just, let's say machine learning and AI, let's say I didn't understand what that was, right? So I would go search what machine learning is, and then it will bring up all these different companies that are doing machine learning. Then I would just look up what they're doing in machine learning. Then after a while, you start to understand in that environment, okay, this is what it is, you know? So that's something that I would tell entrepreneurs to really utilize Google for what it is. You know, don't just search mindlessly. Like, know what you want and search for that.
So that's a good message, because right now you're gonna hear a lot of buzzwords. Machine learning, AI are the big ones. Most
Yeah,
people don't really understand what it is still
yeah,
right now. So you gotta kind of, like what Milan is saying is, and I do this in meetings, and I know sometimes I know it's annoying, but I don't care. If I'm in a meeting and I don't understand, the meeting is not moving forward. I understand. If there's a word in there that's like, all right, I just don't understand what it is.
yeah,
I try to make sure in the conversation that all right, if I don't understand it, maybe somebody else doesn't. And if somebody does, why not explain it to me, right? I never
yeah,
feel like I'm being dumb. That's a big thing that I feel like I've seen. People just be like, you know what? I'll ask later. No, because if you ask later, no, everybody may not have known. Like, and then we're pushing along, and a lot of people don't understand what's going on. So me, especially with the tech stuff, it's up to me, right, to understand. So the reason I learned that is early on in my career, I would do that, and then it come down to the point where they were like, Miguel, you understood it, right? Do it. And I'm like, well, I didn't. I thought you understood it. But then I started it's on me. So I'm gonna make sure I don't leave that meeting without knowing. So that's really good information to like see what you don't know and then go and research it. Make sure you know it, especially as a founder, right? Like the big thing about being a founder is you don't have to be an expert in everything, but you have to know enough to be dangerous in
yeah,
everything, right?
yeah,
Like you got to understand product management, code, design, marketing, because you're running this company, right? Of
yeah,
course, it's that know it more than you that you bring onto the team, but if you don't know how to manage them, good luck with that business, right? So you have to make sure you're not just leaving stuff to people and not fully understanding how it works.
yeah, exactly.
So all right, that's good advice. So being so young and being an entrepreneur, and you've
Hmm.
been an entrepreneur super young,
Yeah.
what would you tell a young black, brown woman, anything? What would you tell people the first thing they do when they're getting into entrepreneurship?
I
Because I
think
didn't even start with
it
you.
honestly depends on what they're doing. You know, it's really not a short answer to that question, because if you're doing something that's already there, let's say you're going into construction, you're opening a construction business, right? I would say just use your peers, and I would try to work for one of those construction companies first, but in the mentality of I want to grow into my own. You know, so you're not sitting there being comfortable. You're just saying, okay, I'm learning here. You know, but if you're building something else, you know, brand new, you know, I just felt like our stuff was so new that I didn't have a lot of reference. So I had to get experts in each different piece of my company in order to really make it solid, you know. So that's where I would say the difference is. If you have something that's in front of you and you can make different examples of it, then I would just try to use one of those examples. If not, get experts in those areas.
I like the idea of looking at your job as just learning for your business, future business. That is a
Yeah.
good way to make sure you don't feel like you're doing something for no reason. Like I kind of did that, not even knowing I did that, but that was my route. Right? I
Hmm.
didn't even know I was an entrepreneur until I was one. Right, but I was always thinking like that. Like, all right, I'm trying to understand his job too, not just mine, and that's because eventually I hope to manage a guy like that, right, or girl.
Yeah.
So okay, so what else? Maybe let's try the genie thing. The first I had since I've been doing the show, people were reaching out to me, and one idea was, why don't you do a segment called the business genie, where you say what are 3 wishes you had right now for your business, and then let's figure out how to maybe through someone through my audience, me, we can make them happen. So if you had to have 3 wishes, what would you say?
um, I don't know, because I mean, obviously, the number one for me would just be get more wishes. You know, I would just want more, but but that's just number one. But you know, I would say I would say not so much. I would want this to be a success, but I would want people to learn from this. You know, I would want it to be a huge example, and then I want it to also be a foundation because I'm not. You know, everyone says, all right, you're chasing, you know, I'm not really chasing the money. A lot of people chase the money for their businesses. For me, I'm chasing change. So I would love to make the most impact with this company, you know, to really show how you can create something from the ground up and it could change the whole world, you know. So that's kind of one of my wishes, I would say, because I would want to.
I'll stop you on that
Yeah,
one because that's definitely a reason I really like your idea. I thought you came up with an idea that was using AI for good. So it was one of the first AI ideas that I got the chance to see early that kind of helped the human become much better. So AI can remove things that the human needs to think about and do. But your idea kind of has the ecosystem of using AI to improve the human race in a way, right? Instead of
yeah,
just removing things like right now, we don't remember phone numbers because the AIs on these phones, they know by putting the name, you know, the data's there. So I can just be like, call Milan and it'll do it, right?
yeah,
So that's removing information from our brain and making us actually decline in mental ability, right? But
mhm,
yours is kind of looking at how can we use AI to like amplify human ability, which I thought was really cool. So
yeah.
I wanted to I said that. So, all right, what's number two?
Um, change. You know, I would say, I don't know. I really don't. It's a hard one because what do you get? It's like I guess I would want not limited resources, but the resource that I want need. You know, sometimes getting the resources you need is hard. So being able to just have those resources just right there anytime you want it is a good wish. You know, instead of having to search for it daily.
So that's on the fundraising side, basically, right? Being
No,
on the
no, it's not even a fundraising. It's information. It's just, you know, it could be tech, it could be a certain server, it can be anything. You know, it's resources. You know, it's not just money. You know, it can be anything in that realm. And I would say knowledge is another one. Um, Having more and more people. Let's say I had grander people, let's say a Bill Gates or Elon Musk, as more knowledge, you know, instead of because what I would love to do with astrology, you know, as I'm learning more and more astrology, I became, I guess, a quote unquote astrologist in November. So I'm studying it continuously. But one thing that I learned is, you know, the planet's transits and how they affect people's lives. So we're going to be showcasing that in the app and personalizing that to you. So let's say, you know, the planet's moving. Yeah,
let's go. Like again, I know a lot about the idea. So explain why astrology is
yeah.
important in your because I thought that was really smart.
Yeah, so I mean, astrology is like the hidden shadows of the world that people don't pay attention to. You know, so it's a form of energy that really affects people's lives, and I think it needs to be known because if you understood it more, you would understand the world. You know, for example, I have the shirt, you know, so it has my birth chart on it. You know, it's a self shirt, but if people were able to see that birth chart and understand to read it, they would understand that person right off the bat without even talking to that person because they would know, okay, these certain planets are in these certain houses. So this person is going to be angry or more happy or lazier or happy, you know, like just you'll understand the blueprint of that person by just reading that chart. So for us,
What
we
I,
want to,
what I really liked about that was so if you don't know about data and AI,
yeah,
what data does is data gives you patterns.
yeah,
AI lets you recognize those patterns.
yeah,
Astrology as a whole is that same idea. So what Milan thought of was by using astrology, I'm already finding patterns that I can use on top of the layers of AI data that my app generates. And putting all that together gives me a lot of information that I can use to help people. That
yeah.
to me was really, really smart. And because I remember first time you told me astrology, I'm like, why? You know, why? And then when you broke that down, it was like, that's fucking smart. Like, that is one of the most pattern recognition things ever.
Yeah.
Astrology, right?
It's
And
the oldest one. Yeah. And
yeah,
people,
yeah.
it's just people forgot it, like they say, billionaires have astrologers with them, and the reason why is because
Yeah.
they want to understand what's going on with transits. There's a certain transit that will happen that will just be negative, and it will just create negative energy, and you think the cards are just against you, but it's just the way the energy is shifting. So when I was saying for my second wish, let's say we worked with Elon Musk and now we had the ability to go into satellites and actually see these planets. I would be able to see from, the actual sky where that planet's moving. So we can see, okay, it went from the second house to the third house. So specifically Mars, or they say Mercury going into retrograde, right? Mercury is in control of communication. So when it goes into retrograde, it messes up all sorts of communication. You start to see more people stuttering. They'll mess up their writing. Their computers won't work, and that's basically its own energy creating from that. Mars creates this need to be first. It creates anger. So when you start to see these patterns, and especially when people are using the self app, they'll be able to learn all these different houses. So they'll know just by the world what's going on, so it won't be such a hidden message anymore. People will actually get it before it happens. And that's something that I wanted to bring to the world because I felt like it's needed, And once they understand it, a lot of things, because even certain energy can make certain sickness. Right now, even with COVID, it could be prophesied that this is happening because of that energy. I know a lot of people think this is pseudoscience, quote unquote, but it's been around before us. There's a reason why these planets are aligned a certain way. There's a reason why everything is sitting the way it is. Things aren't just perfect and we're just a part of this perfect thing for no reason, so.
Sure. And like, I know you're back to, you study Buddhism, you study like
Yeah,
these different things. So talk a little bit about that and how that helps you with entrepreneurship.
I wouldn't say I study like Buddhism like fully like other people do. I just use some of their methods, meditation. I use meditation is great. I do it as much as I can, sometimes I just forget, but I try to do it as much as I can, early in the morning just to get myself. But what I do is I do a lot of running. So I do every other day or every day. It's been off and on, but I try to do 7 miles. So I run and that's my meditation. The longer I run and I get to see scenery, it allows my mind to get into relax things. So for me, I just put myself in a strenuous workout, which gives me this ability to, calm my mind and take myself out of everything, which is the same as meditation. But yeah, I mean, that helps me because it broadened my knowledge on just the spiritual aspect of the self app, so I'm coming from all angles of this thing. There's two different things.
That's the soul side of the app, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like when he says mind, for mind, there's tips and tricks to educate yourself. Body is working out, and soul there's whatever you follow, I guess, right? So what if you are, is it agnostic religion wise, or is it just overall?
No, as of right now, it's not religious because religion is a hard topic, and religion can be sometimes offensive to people.
Yeah.
Because if you're a Christian and then we have a bunch of Muslim stuff there or Islamic stuff, you might not like it. So, it's we don't want to offend anybody. And, what we did is we did two pieces of astrology right now. So there's Vedic and there's tropical, which is, the Western and the Eastern side of astrology, because they both use two different things. They do cross, but Vedic uses more of the gods as planets, and we look at planets as just planets. So Mars will actually be a god, and that's how they look at in Vedic astrology. Yeah, so that's a big difference, I would say. Not the only difference, but that's a big difference in the two. So for us, we will kind of location base and allow these people to pick and choose which one they want to use. So if they want to use Vedic, they can. If they want to use the other, they can.
And this will help in the app. It just tells you, like, how does it work? So in the app, it will tell you your astrology, or it will tell you how it affect your current.
So it tells you everything. So most people are doing the horoscope thing, which is cool. It's kind of like a broader sense. We're not doing like all Capricorns are this. We actually take your birth information, and we build out your natal chart. Your natal chart is this here, and everybody will get their own natal chart. So when you have your natal chart, basically now the AI will be able to pick from this cookbook that we built, right? And know each transit. So if it's moving in a certain transit and knows your birth chart, it can tell you what's happening at that moment. So each day it will be able to provide you your own personalized horoscope, not based off of a broader
Yeah,
sense, but for you. Yeah.
that's awesome. I really like that idea because to me, it really uses the power of data. Like you said, it's one of the oldest forms of data, right? Like
Yeah.
this stuff has been for many, many years since before we even understood what it was. So to use that as a way to help predict help people, that's a smart, very smart way of helping have AI make people better because horoscopes in a way, like I know my dad always sends me my horoscope and I'm like, yeah, but I'm sure if I read all of them, but it is sometimes I'm like, wow, that is pretty on point. Right. But at the same time, I'll read all of them and I'm like, oh, that one could be me too. That one could be me too. So horoscopes is a little bit, I know people live by it like my dad. But with this, I like the idea of you have all these data sets. You have the traditional ones, you
Yeah.
have the different styles of horoscope, and then you have the data that you're collecting of them using the app. So you could start to, over time, really understand a person and then help predict how to help them better. So
Yeah.
that to me, one of the superpowers of AI.
And allow doctors to communicate with these people. So
Oh,
doctors will be able to come onto the platform as well. Yeah. So
yeah,
doctors will be able to see their progress, what they're eating, their diets, everything will be in the app. So they'll be able to opt in all this information, and more information they opt in, the more self coins they'll be able to earn. So it will be fully transparent to exactly what that means. But obviously, when I spoke earlier, it was more because of the research foundry. We want to provide as much information for that to broaden the research for human advancement. And that's our whole goal, is to have this big library of human interaction so
data.
we can and keep pushing that data more and more and building it so we can work on it later, improve. Let's say, for example, just the education side, and we're taking data from the school portals and we're starting to see that this particular curriculum does not work. Students aren't advancing from this curriculum. So we can actually provide this data back to the school and say, hey, your curriculum just doesn't work. Or this piece works. The students really love this. We're taking this data from 50 different schools and all these different schools interacted the same. So that's just one sense. We have so many different ways that we can push data back to the world and show improvement through those ways.
So on the doctor side, I remember early these conversations early, but I know I haven't been around it for a while. How are you getting around HIPAA laws and stuff? Does Burst IQ just
Versailles Cue was HIPAA compliant. They're GDPR and HIPAA compliant already. So
uh,
they will be our solution. If you remember, we were talking about that, how we're going to be compliant on
yeah,
stuff. So we were like, all right, let's just go get a partner that's already compliant and we don't have to worry about it. The
yeah.
only thing we would have to worry about now is education side of compliance. If we start to use our own wearables and stuff like that, then we may have to go get FDA approved. But
Mm.
as of right now, we're kind of sitting right in a gray line. We have data scientists helping us.
Mhm.
So we will be working on compliance every day. That's one of our biggest things. We don't want to hop into something and then be shut down later because we're not compliant. So, if the only thing that will stop us from a later launch, I would say is compliance side. So we're gonna have a huge learn curve on just
Wow.
compliance and what do they expect us to have in place before we launch.
And I mean that's where Burst IQ seems good. I'm looking at it as you speak. Burst IQ seems like a great partner. It's just really about because they can handle all that. Really,
Yeah.
nothing really. What I like about your idea is nothing is shown to them. It's just being used. Well, actually, that could have changed. It's being used to help them, right? It's not like you're seeing data on your app that can be so if the person whose data it is, if they see it, that's fine. It's just showing that to other people, right? That's the problem.
Yeah, and it's the being able to be hacked. They don't want your platform to be hacked by someone else, and now they have data on like millions of people.
Yeah, yeah, it's like
You
Facebook.
know,
Right? Yeah,
yeah. So that's why we don't even hold that data. We don't have a memory server to hold that data. That data goes directly from Burst IQ. We can pull it from Burst IQ, but it would have to be manual. There's no like connection for that part. So
sure. So, okay, that's awesome. All right, so last 20 minutes. What I like to do is understand where you are and what kind of help you need right now. I know we are entrepreneurs, so there's always something we need. What right now are you looking for? people, funds, partnerships, signups. That's a big one, signups. So everybody make sure you go. That's one way to help Milan right away. Just go and sign up for his beta. And the more numbers, like he said, he got up to 10,000 already. If he grows that number more and more, that alone is traction, and it will help his company survive.
Yeah.
What else?
Funds is always good, but I would say definitely signups is the most important. And
how about people? Any skill sets right now that you're still looking for that you wish you had more of?
I would like to have, something that we ran into recently was, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of central banks are starting to experiment with digital currency.
Oh yes, Chase has their own Chase coin and all
Yeah,
that.
they have the JPM coin, but you have, like actual central banks like Central Bank of France and, Japan, Canada, all of them are starting to do stuff with that. So I would love to have people in that experience to come on board and to really, and not for like right away that we're trying to put this coin in a cryptocurrency, but we would like to
Start understanding.
talk about it, start understanding it in a sense of, okay, so we understand this coin and what it represents, but how can we make it make sense for everyone involved, for governments, and how do we make it taxable, and how do we make sure everybody wins from this particular set, so then it becomes an easier way to earn. So now so we can actually make wellness cheaper. It will be cheaper within our platform, but we want it to be cheaper everywhere else. So instead of buying that salad for $5, now we can discount it to $2.50, or make actual organic foods be a lot cheaper because of our coin.
Okay, so that makes sense. So global crypto, like people, right? People that know about global crypto,
People
but
that know how to do it, yeah.
yeah. So I met a startup, and maybe I could connect you with this startup. When we were running the Village Capital application, there was a startup in San Fran that was doing something where if you made a payment here, they paid it there, right? So like if, let's say you were in France and I was in New York and I wanted to give you $20, I would do that through his coin. I can't tell you the super detail of how he was doing it, but maybe he might understand it. He was a crypto guy. So he could be one that I could connect you with maybe. And I don't know what his startup is right now. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but he had something going. It was pretty decent. Also, I used to go to this meetup called Latinos in Blockchain. And there was a guy that made the crypto that was the number one crypto being used in Venezuela when they were going through their financial like turmoil. His crypto was the one that was being used the most. So he had like super experience with it. Of course, he got shut down because the government was like,
yeah, they don't play around with that stuff right now. That's why we kept it in house. That's the only way we can technically do it. I would love to make it a cryptocurrency, but I don't want to go against compliance. I don't want to go against government. So it's just,
then you gotta go into SEC involved when you make it a coin, right?
Yeah,
so
there's so much to do. Yeah.
Internal currency that you're working out deals with your partners. So
yeah, they're coming into the marketplace. It's the same thing as Facebook. Let's say you're in Facebook ads and you're a business that wanted to do that. You have your own business login. So if you're a sponsor, you can sponsor challenges, or you can just put your products onto the marketplace. So we allow people to do that and log in and do that.
I have another one that I know you need, but you may have forgotten, and unless it's changed. You need people that have classes and courses to put on your platform, right? So people can do them.
No. So what we do is well, it depends what the classes are, but no, we are looking more for, well, classes is cool, but we're looking more for products. So if you have a product, if you have food, healthy food that you want to sell, if you're a restaurant and you have healthy foods there, we will be there. We will allow you to go on a platform. For example, if, let's say you were healthy restaurants and you had a salmon dish, we would want you to put that salmon dish for a discount on our platform, and then people would go to your restaurant and redeem that. So that would create foot traffic for them, and then it will also create traffic for us. So that's something that we want to do. If you had a wearable device that's new, we'll take you. Things like that, gift cards, classes. Yeah, but it depends on what the class is. We're being a little strict on classes. We would rather have the person come to us that they completed the course, and we would just reward them for it.
Got it. Okay. So you're looking for vendor partners that have healthy anything, basically. that you can possibly platform.
Yeah, fashion as well. If you have clothes, we'll take that. We kind of want to build a marketplace up to a store, so people can just use the coin for whatever they want in that store. Yeah.
Sure. And you're going to curate the products on that store, making sure they're healthy for the people in the world in a way, right?
Yeah.
So that's the way you're going to curate the content on that store. So you know if I go on there and I buy something, it's not going to be bad for me, right? Now you're not going to have McDonald's on your platform.
No. No fast food. Unless they have healthy fast food, then that might be different. But yeah, as of right now, no fast food.
Okay, that makes sense. So partners, vendors, and any skill sets. You said crypto. Is there any other type of skill sets?
Have marketing sales. I would say finance is one, especially like scaling, because I am positive that this is going to scale pretty quickly. It has been, especially with partners wise. So I would say I would definitely want people in that realm of finance and how if a company jumps from let's say 10 million to 100 million, how they manage that. You know, we also want to purchase other companies. So we want to, if you're in the health space and you could be a good partner, we would like to acquire those companies as well. So I want to have someone in finance that can start the roadmap. Yeah, start the roadmap for that.
Okay, that's pretty good. I know one guy be like super high level, like actually, I don't know what he's doing right now, but this guy was like he was the CFO of WeWork.
Oh wow.
What's going on with that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's crazy, right? Can't go to the office, so.
Yeah, but also WeWork was having a bad having a bad year before the bad year.
Yeah.
So all right. I think, is there any questions for me? Anything we've spoken a while? Anything that you have questions on my side? Anything I can help you with personally that because you know me more than most. Anything that you could think of?
Yeah. I would say from what you hear at a sub platform, what would you want to see? Like, what would be your best experience in a sub platform? What would you expect?
So, okay, right now, I think your app would be amazing right now because we're in this pandemic where we're home. Everybody's mental health is being chipped away at, right? Being stuck home.
Yeah.
Body, right? The body is, how do you work out? Like you said, you're going running, but not everybody can do that, or not everybody feels comfortable doing that. So it would be nice if when I use your app, it helps me get through this COVID situation, this pandemic. Maybe there's like a way where you angle towards that in the beginning, where you're like, we have an app that will help you get through COVID, not just mentally, physically, and spiritually, right? Stick with me. So the idea being, right now it's hard to get stuff, right? Like, things like going shopping, you go to the store and nothing's there, healthy, or anything, period, right? Working out, having a place where it's like, all right, what kind of workout should I do? I got limited space. I can't go for a run. What is a good workout? That could be good. And then one thing I'm thinking about more and more, because I'm working with so many different people, is how to mentally check up on people. Like, it's hard to know how people are doing unless they tell you, right?
Yeah.
So it would be nice to be like, hey, use this app. It's gonna help you without you even understand. Because I know something could be going on with me too that I don't fully understand, but I just don't understand it. So if an app can help me, to understand what I'm going through and help me fix it, that could be nice too. I don't know how you would do that. Chatbot maybe, but
it has a chatbot feature, yeah. So we actually, for goal setting at least, we have a chatbot feature where you can interact with that chatbot and it will help you with your goals. And any goal that you have, it will help you accomplish that goal.
Awesome. That's good. I remember that feature. I think, to me, hurry up, because I think the world needs your app.
Yeah, I know. It's weird, right? Because we were talking about this before and it was like kind of a far-fetched idea. And then it's kind of funny, like as time started going more and more, it seems like, okay, this is the time now. Like it just sped up so fast that it's like perfect right now. So It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
very weird to see, especially from a virtual standpoint of just schooling, and they don't even know when kids will go back to school, so
Yep.
this creates an issue because now how do you keep kids motivated?
You know what's super interesting about that? I remember early on in the conversations, you were saying we're going to reward kids for doing homework. And I
Yeah,
remember being like, yeah, but how do you do that? And now that all these kids are on Google Classroom, it's
yeah,
much easier to do that. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You can write an API that is connected to Google Classroom. I doubt they're going to let you get all the data, but, because it is sensitive information for young
Well,
people.
what happens? What happens is, so that's something that we figured out. So it's really has to do with FERPA, and the school portal. So the school portal, as long as you're compliant with FERPA, can give you the data of those students, and then we can take that data. What?
Individual, like down to the kid, like, okay, this
Yeah,
kid has.
down to the kid, and then the kid would have to have parent consent, of course. There's probably some other consent contracts that need to be in place, but once they do all that, we could actually get the data from that. So we would pull the data from the school, everything, attendance records, and then we'll start to reward
I
just
think that's
based on
what we're
being
doing
in
right now.
school.
So,
Yeah.
so I speak to different. So we're working with Metabronx with charter schools, private
Mhm.
schools, and public schools.
Yeah.
A lot of the kids are struggling with this online thing, and a lot of them have given up. They're not even doing the work. It's hard to they're mentally going through it. It's a huge difference, right? Some
Yeah.
kids don't have a great home environment, so they're stuck in that environment more, and then they got to do work. It's tough, right? So that's another angle that I believe you could really win on, like the young people. But I understand HIPAA. But with high school, you pass it's not HIPAA for young people. What is it called?
Well, FERPA is one of them. Yeah.
COPA. COPA's under 13. So if you do one over 13, you can still get data and help, right? Over 13-year-olds.
No, we would still have to get consent from the parent because they're not 18.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, we're working on that. We're not going to release the app until we are compliant with all bodies of the government. So that's something we're working on today. So when we're talking about being done with development, we're going to be testing, doing pilots. We have to do some type of pilot just to show them what we're talking about, but we can't do this grandiose launch and get everybody on the platform. But our goal is to have what you're saying, this system where we can go into the schools, see what they're doing, even like I said, down to the attendance records of what they're doing and then rewarding based on that. So
Well, I'm gonna
that,
give you a tip.
yeah.
That make that happen much faster.
Mhm.
Start with charter schools. So because charter schools are much more open to ideas like this,
Yeah.
and there's paperwork. You to go into the DOE, you got to go to the DOE, which
Yeah.
is fun times, right?
Yeah.
Private schools are a little bit, they don't need to try things. They can, but it's just harder. We've done it, but actually, it was actually easier for in our case with Metabronx to deal with private schools. Charter school is in the middle. They're part of the DOE in a way, but they're not as stringent on the rules. You just got to get it past their board. And if you could talk about having a thing that will help their kids be motivated to finish their homework, I could see one of them doing that. I could see
Yeah.
that happen. So that could be a way.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
Cool. So any last comments, requests, words of wisdom to the entrepreneur community from you?
First of all, I want to say that I think this is really cool. I think it's a really cool idea, especially right now to do this whole entrepreneur hour. I think it's smart for your brand because one, it gives you content, and two, it gives you just the ability to talk to so many different startups and companies at once, and everyone else can see what's going on in the world. So I commend you for making this. Any last comments? Okay, so since we're in COVID, I think people should really grind right now. Really show what you can accomplish. Don't use this as an excuse to not do anything. Don't get lazy. Don't get unhealthy. Actually make that goal today. Do it. Like, why not? What if the world ended? What if we just didn't have a world tomorrow? And it's possible. It seems like it. It seems like the world is so on its last legs that it looks like we can blow up any day. So seriously, like I think people should look at it that way, and they should look at it where, like, if this was your last 24 hours, are you doing everything you could in those last 24 hours, instead of wasting that time?
No, I like that. I like that idea. Like, yeah, we all have took our brush with death in a way. Not to say we all got COVID or whatever it is, but it's getting closer and closer to everyone. There's no way, especially in New York, that you're not someone that has been affected. I literally, a friend of mine, actually a partner of mine's father passed away yesterday. COVID, right? It's like this stuff is sad, but there's over 90 on anything I try to have. So if you can make it, so you look at this and say, all right, how can I come out of this better than I went into it? And entrepreneurship, I'm saying everybody's an entrepreneur right now because nobody knows where their next dollar is coming from.
No.
The richest of the rich are like, let's look into other revenue streams because I had a this, I had a that, and now that money is a little bit on edge, right? So I think everybody's one of the reasons Entrepreneur Hour, I'm trying to say, you're an entrepreneur. Don't think people like me and Milan, we just decided to do it, but we were just like you. You know, you could do it. So I like that. I like that final word. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for reaching out. Good luck. And definitely I want to have you back on when you launch for sure.
Okay. Sounds good.
And everybody go, please sign up for the selfplatform.io and give Milan some love, and then test out his app, give him feedback. And any what's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
By email, I guess. LinkedIn, Instagram, all those work. Email is Milan@selfplatform.io. Instagram's Milan Dadon, MILANDADON, and then LinkedIn is just Milan Cheeks.
All right. So I'm gonna put up your banner right there. That's your email. Yeah, man, good stuff. Congrats, man. Proud to see you keep going and you hustling and keeping it alive and going, especially COVID. It's tough. It's a tough time. Even as an entrepreneur, have an idea like you that is very important to the time. It's tough. So for that, keep rocking. Tell your pops I said hi. And let's do it again. All right.
All right. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good night. Good day.
You too.